Hey there gamers, welcome back to the Board Game Co channel, and today we have a preview of 6 different games. Hey there gamers, it's Professor Meg here, and welcome back to the Board Game Co channel. And yes, as I said, we are going to be diving into 6 different games today. These are going to be the Ornament game series by Garland Games, which this is a sponsored video. This is also a prototype copy in front of me, so not only for this game, but for 4 of the games that we're going to be looking at in depth, they are a demo version. So just so that you know, these are the intended cases for them. I only have it for this one game, whereas the others are a bit of a tin like this, but the intended version of this is that they're all going to be ornaments that you can hang on your tree. Now, there are 6 different games, and they are split into 2 different series. So you have 3 family games and 3 strategy games, and you can get all 6 of them together. And check out the Kickstarter link down below, because you'll be able to see that there's actually a tree that they have planned where all 6 of them can be nested inside, but you can also hang them all from your tree. Now, I am going to be going over 4 different games in depth. I'm briefly going to mention the 2 others, and I'll let you know which series is which. The first one we're going to take a look at is Snowman Shuffle, but before we get started, I do want to note that there is family and strategy, but I think all of these are very accessible and can be loved by all members of your family, where I think that they are all very holiday-centric, but also very fun to play and engaging. So they're all going to be ones that are going to be hanging on your tree, or hopefully with some of your holiday decorations, and your family members are going to see it. I almost said your players, but your family members are going to see it and say, hey, I really want to play that game again. And I think this is also a great way to be an intro to gaming, that if you have family members that you say, I love board games, and they're like, what do you mean? Do you play Monopoly? This is a great way to show them multiple different types of games, because there's a lot of diversity here for the different games that are available. So with that, we're going to dive into Snowman Shuffle. Now, Snowman Shuffle is going to be one of the family games, and it's always going to be set up in a grid like this, where you have a 4x4 grid, and underneath each of these piles at the start of the game, you're going to have a base for a snowman, a middle part, a head, and then a hat. So all of these piles have randomized cards that all of these are different underneath all of these piles, and on a player's turn, they're going to do 2 different things. So the first thing that they're going to do is always roll over a certain area. So right now we could choose anywhere, and we could choose to roll this one over to here. And when doing that, any cards can be placed on any other cards. As you notice, I just put a base on top of a base, but the next player, if they choose to want to roll this, they can move this over here, and then a base can even be placed on top of that again. So as you're rolling, anything can be placed anywhere, but in the case where if there was ever an empty pile and you rolled onto that area, you get to roll again. So when you do go onto empty areas, you get to keep rolling, but after you roll, you'll then choose any piece of a snowman to take, but you have to start from the bottom. So if this was your first turn, you would have to take a base, because you can't place anything above it. So now that we do have a base, on our next turn, we would be able to roll, and then we would either be able to take a middle or another base because of what we currently have here banked. Now, that may seem very simple because the actions are, but there's going to be a lot of strategy when you're choosing which pieces to take, especially after you're taking bases and once there's more things uncovered. So now I'm going to move us forward a little bit in the game so you can see how scoring is going to work and how the board can look after a few moves have been made. Now, here you can see there are some empty spots, there are some things uncovered, such as hats, heads, bodies, and bases, but you can also see the snowmen that each of our players have created. So this player chose to complete one of their snowmen, starting from the bottom. They had their base, their middle, the head, and then the hat. But this player chose to take a second base. So they had 2 bases and chose to continue building here. But the reason why they chose to do so is that you're scoring for your base. So as you can see, every base has a shape as well as a color. So this one here is a red triangle, meaning that for each of their pieces above it, they're going to score points for both their reds as well as their triangles. So this card here is going to score them 2 points for this button here, because it matches exactly to this, and 1 point because this one is still a triangle, meaning that this piece here for them is worth 3 points. Now going up here, this one's also great for them, where they have, again, one that matches exactly, as well as a heart that is still red. So this one, again, is going to be 3 points for them because it is the same color but a different shape, and this one matches exactly. And up here, as you can see, they will get 1 point for this being red. So as a total right now, this player currently has 7 points. And then over here, this player has no points yet for this one here. They may try to pick up certain things such as this circle here or blues, but they might be hoping for something that matches a little bit more exactly, especially knowing that nothing here has been taken from them yet. There's actually an eye over here if they're able to get a middle piece that they're willing to compromise on. But they've already started building here where they have some exact matches. So they do have an exact match here as well as a yellow. And then up here we have an exact match as well as a heart. So again, they're going to have 6 points over here, hoping for a top hat that's going to hopefully match at least the heart or the yellow. Now, the game ends when all players have built 3 snowmen, so where you do want to try to get pieces that you specifically want, this is very family friendly because everyone's going to get to complete their snowmen. So you have to have 3 complete snowmen for every single player before the game end will trigger, and then you look at points to see how much players get for their buttons. So again, this is a very friendly way for people to be able to see what cards they want, perhaps roll things around, trying to get pieces that are going to be really advantageous for them, and anyone can come up toward the end because it is only going to end when all players have their 3 snowmen finished. Now, the next game in the family line is going to be Run Reindeer, and what players are trying to do is use a push your luck system with these cards here to race their reindeer from the barn over to Santa's sleigh because they want to guide Santa's sleigh tonight. And as you can see, this is set up for 3 players, so we have Donner in blue, Rudolph in red, and Prancer in green, and as it should be, Rudolph is currently in the lead. So pretending that we are currently the Rudolph player, players will draw cards from this deck and then choose to stop if they want to, and normally you always want to be increasing in your speed. So we're going to flip this over, and here you can see this is the Christmas spirit. It has 1 hoof, and we're currently over here for the speed, so that's not too bad. So we'll flip over the next card, and okay, so we are going a little bit faster. We're currently in the yellow. That's still not the worst, so we may choose to draw another card. And that's still okay for us. So we're going to choose to stop here because this is actually pretty good for us, but as you can see, this is always increasing. Now, when you choose to stop, you're going to look at your hooves and then move forward that many spaces. So we're going to be able to go 1, 2, 3, but we're actually landing in ice, and the ice ability is that we're going to get to slide. So because we landed here, we actually get to slide forward 1 more, giving us a pretty good lead for Rudolph. So all of these are going to form a shared discard pile, and then it's going to go on to Prancer's turn. Now for Prancer, let's see, and again, this Christmas spirit isn't too high, so I do feel comfortable with us drawing again, and this is still going up, so we'll choose to keep going. But as you can see, Prancer is a bit behind because if you ever bust, you actually don't move forward at all, but you get to fly in the next round. So we're currently flying with Prancer, meaning that each of our hooves are increased, which is great. So we will continue to keep drawing, and oh no, poor Prancer. Poor Prancer actually busted again. So they would not be able to move, but again, they would be able to fly on the next turn, which would let them move even faster once they're able to finally move. Now, to go on to another turn, we'll move over to Donner, and Donner is starting off with a pretty high Christmas spirit, but honestly, I think we should have him just move forward the 2 and move on to Rudolph again. Rudolph is kind of running away with this, but that's okay because he's Rudolph, so we'll draw 1 for him, and again, Rudolph, where he's going to be able to slide on this ice, he may choose to just take this 1 hoof, slide forward, and stop there. So now, hopefully Prancer is going to have a little bit better of a turn this turn. Now, in Prancer's case, when you're flying, each of those Christmas spirit cards that you draw, you actually get +1 hoof. So we're going to see what we're able to do for Prancer because he is able to get ahead if he's able to draw the right things. All right, and we have, right off the gate, we have a change of heart. So a change of heart is going to change your speed for you. So if this was drawn mid-drawing, or if there was other cards before it, it would have you descend instead. And it's still going to have us do that, but it being our first card, we actually want to start high and go low. but just know that this can happen even mid-drawing to kind of have you fluctuate with your Christmas spirit. So we are going to start off, and we are already pretty low, and we only want to go lower. This isn't the best for us, so I think with Prancer in this case, we're just going to choose to stop and have him move forward to here to slide up the track. Now, a Run Reindeer is ultimately a race, so players are using this push your luck system, but you're trying to race to the end over to Santa's sleigh. So the first player to reach Santa's sleigh is going to be the one to guide Santa's sleigh tonight. But this is a very fast-paced family game where you're going to be able to play it over and over again. Now, the third family game is going to be Misfit Toys, and that one I don't currently have in front of me here, but it's going to be a game where players are going to have different cards of toys. You're not going to be able to look at them, and then simultaneously everyone flips over their cards. You can see everyone's all at once, and you're trying to make different rhymes all at the same time, trying to be quicker than everyone else. So for example, you may see certain cards such as cat and hat or crown and brown, and you're trying to match different things, and once you're able to do so, you take those cards in front of you and they'll score for you. Also, once any of those piles are emptied, that's what's going to trigger the end game, meaning that any cards that you're able to keep in front of yourself and instead make rhymes with other players' cards is going to be more advantageous for you. So those are going to be the three family games, and with that, we're going to take a look at some of the strategy games. Now, the next game is going to be Merry Flipness, and in this game, players are going to be manipulating their hand of cards, which all represent different choir roles, such as the alto, the bass, the soprano, and the tenor, and you're going to be using those to sing different Christmas carols. Now, to do so, the thing that's very interesting is that you are not able to change the order of the cards in your hand in a traditional way. So you can't just reorder these, you need to use actions to be able to do so, and on a player's turn, you're going to be able to take 2 actions, and there are 3 choices of what those actions can be. So your first action can be to discard any cards from here and draw back up to 6. And again, when you're doing this, you're going to maintain orientation. So when you choose to discard cards, you have to discard a grouping of them. For example, I could discard the 2 from the middle, the 4 from the middle, 2 from the side, but they have to be a grouping together. And then when I draw cards, they all have to be added together on one of the ends. So the way the cards are ordered is really going to matter, because another action that you're able to do is flip your cards. So for example, if we wanted to, on our first action for this, we could choose to flip both of these cards, our S and our B. And when that happens, we would take both of these out, maintain the orientation, which is going to reverse the order, and then put them right back where they were. Now, the third action that you have available is reserving a different carol card. So that may be that if you want one, but you're not able to sing it this turn, but you do sing the carols at the end of your turn, and as you can see, we are working toward one. So if our first action was to flip our cards like that, our second action may choose to be to discard both of these cards. So we'll choose to discard those and then draw both of these into our hand on the end over here. And then at the end of our turn, you can see that we are able to sing this one over here, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. So what we would do is take this over here into our scoring area, and then we would have to discard the cards that apply to it. So we have our T, S, A, and A, and the thing that's important is that those are in that particular order. If anything else, I mean, another A there wouldn't have mattered, but if anything else had messed that up, we would not be able to do that. So we'd be able to discard these to be able to score this card for ourselves, and then at the end of every player's turn, you are going to draw back up to those 6 cards. So again, you're maintaining that orientation. You may be trying to flip some of these over, but a new card is also going to become available for other players to hopefully be able to sing that carol as well. Now, depending on the number of players, you need to sing a certain number of carols to trigger the end game. So in a 3-player game, you want to sing 5 carols, in a 3-player game 6, and in a 4-player game 4. So depending on how many people you're playing with, you're trying to acquire these different carol cards before all the other players. Now, something that's really interesting about this game is that hand management system, where you do see the other roll that's on the other side of the card. For example, this is a bass, and you have a tenor on the other side. So you know exactly what you have, but you are flipping over those groups completely together. So as you start flipping them over where they are, you're completely reversing the order as well, which can add a really big thinkiness part to the game. Now, as I said, players are trying to win that certain number of carols, so when that happens, the game end is triggered immediately. So in a 3-player game, as soon as any player reaches 5 carols, they will immediately win the game, and that has been Merry Flipness. Now, the next game in the strategy line is going to be Snow Day, and this is going to be a dexterity game where players players start off with their own gear where they're having a snow day, they're out throwing snowballs all around, and you have your hat, your jacket, your mittens on, but you're trying to throw around snowballs and steal those from other players. So you have your gear and then it's also being stolen, but you're trying to steal from other people, all while angling these discs around. So you have your central area where all of the gear is, but there's also trees placed out and some bystanders. So make sure you don't bump into mom or dad because that could be trouble. But with that, we're going to take a look at Rap Battle. Now here's Rap Battle, and this is the general market, and I only have one player here in front of you. So this is a game for 2 to 4 players where you're playing as these different elves, and something to note is that this is prototype art where this will be full art in the finished game, but this is going to be a game where you are trying to not only make different toys, but then ultimately wrap them, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to score points for them. So throughout the game, players are going to acquire different toys, and when they're face up for you, they're going to provide special abilities, but once you're able to wrap them, they're also going to provide victory points at the end of the game for you as well. Now, to start off a player's turn, you're going to be rolling these 4 dice, and they're all the same, but on their different sides, they have things that are going to either help you make these toys or then wrap them. So there are different sides that help you either cut, sew, build, or decorate, and you're going to use those symbols to contribute to acquiring these toys, which are going to give you special abilities. But there's also a wrap symbol, which is this little present here, which is how you're going to bank the toys into points. So you're only ever able to have 4 toys on your workbench, but to start off, you're going to want to acquire some because they're going to give you those abilities. So starting off, we are going to roll our dice here. And the good thing about the dice rolling as well is that it is the style where you can re-roll any dice that you would like up to 3 times. So currently these are the dice we have here, and to be able to have these, as you can see, they require 2 of 2 different symbols, so we can't really afford these until we start gaining something that gives us more symbols. So here we have 2 presents, which is not good for us, but this build is going to be good and possibly help contribute to this card here. So we'll re-roll these dice, hoping to get a little bit in decorating. Oh, we got a whole bunch of wrapping, which isn't great, so we are going to roll 1 more time. Okay, and we still weren't able to get anything too useful this turn. We got 2 build, and we have our wraps. So we could choose to wrap this present. It allows us to re-roll decoration ones, and if we do wrap it, it'll be worth 1 victory point for us. But instead, we could choose to flip this instead of building a toy or wrapping presents to fill up our Coco. And what that's going to do for us is give us a wild symbol in the future, meaning that we could even be able to get one of these on our next turn. Or in the advanced mode, it may allow you to swap a toy with another elf. So that's going to be our turn to give us some Coco. Now I'm going to have us roll for our next turn. Now, normally all of the other players would go in between, so it would be other players' turns and then back to us. But just to give you an example of what you might be working toward as a player, here you can see we rolled pretty well to try to work toward this card or this card. So 2 pink is pretty good for us. We'll hold on to those. We do have a wild, so then we'll re-roll both of these dice here. So we got our present symbols, which isn't great, so we are going to just re-roll again. And we got a present and a build. Now, I'm just going to pretend for the sake of the example that we got something a little bit different, but we could put our build over here, and this ability allows us to re-roll any decorate symbols. So if this had landed on the decorate symbol, we would be able to re-roll it, but that's actually something that we want in this case. So if we had rolled this, we would be able to use all of these symbols here as well as our wild. This would be used, so it would be flipped back over with our Coco, but then we would be able to take this toy here, put it over into our play area, and this now gives us a wild symbol on future turns until we wrap it. Now another toy is going to come out for other players to hopefully work toward, but as you can see, this is how you're going to gain certain abilities, and then during your turn, you either build or wrap. So if you had rolled the wrap symbols and you want to wrap some of your toys, again, you can only have up to 4 on your bench regardless, because you are limited to how many abilities you're able to have, but you would use your wrap symbols to then wrap your presents. So they do require a certain number of symbols. So with these here, we would be able to wrap this one over, and now we have 1 point bank. Now to go over a few of the other symbols that you can see, here you can spend the 2 present die to become a wild once this is one of the toys that you've built, Or here you can change a 1 present into a 1 present as well as 2 presents. Or over here you can make some conversions, so you're able to use your decorate die into presents, or vice versa. This one allows you to turn presents into the decoration symbol. So you can see where these cards are really going to contribute to symbols for you, and a lot of them are going to give you inherent symbols that count in your play area. So once you do wrap a present, that spot is now available where you can have another toy there. So if you were up to 4 and you wrapped one, then you can gain another toy, and players are going to play until you have 15 points worth of toys. Now, a rap battle is one of the strategy games, and this is going to really teach players the balance between having active abilities that feel very strong and ones that they learn to favor, such as having a wild every turn, but also needing to wrap their presents, because the first player to be able to wrap the 15 points worth of presents is going to be the one to win the game and trigger the end game. So where you may have some really good abilities and have a very strong engine going, if you're not able to wrap all of those presents by the time Christmas comes, you're not going to be able to win the game at all. So that is the final strategy game, and that is the final game overall. So you have your 3 family games, your 3 strategy games, and overall that is your 6 games of Christmas, which are going to be these little ornaments that you're able to use. So as I said, check out the Kickstarter link down below for everything that they have planned and intended for this game. I've been Professor Meg. Thank you all for watching the Board Game Code channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!